Morning. Well, it's my pleasure to be able to introduce Derek Peacock, who is a graduate student in the biology department. I first got to know Derek about a year ago when he was a student in my plant taxonomy course, and right away he impressed me with his ability to learn Latin names and to really master the nuances of plant systematics. And we started talking about a possible project, and he wanted to learn his plants and learn the current techniques in field research, especially to be able to make a contribution to conservation biology and other aspects of promoting our knowledge of biodiversity in Alabama. So he's going to talk about a project that links in with the work of the Forever Wild program. And Derek.
All right, so thank you, Dr. Triplett. So hello, everyone. As Dr. Triplett said, my name is Derek Peacock. I'm a master's candidate for the Department of Biology. And I just want to thank you all for being here today and listening to what I have to present to you. So my thesis project is the Vascular Flora, the Hinds Outcrop Forever Wild Tract in Etowah County, Alabama. And on this first page, I kind of just give you a little introduction to the biodiversity we're dealing with this outcrop. So I don't know how to use a pointer, but I'll just come up here. So we have a wild petunia here, Quaker lady, the sweet shrub, and the landscape coreopsis. So these are nice plants with their flowers. And what I'm going to be going over with you today is just giving you a brief introduction to what a flora is, as well as kind of going over how amazing Alabama's biodiversity is. And then I'll kind of jump into the purpose of this project, as well as some objectives we hope to accomplish. And I'll spit some methods that we use in the herbarium and out in the field, as well as our amazing study area that we've been blessed with, and some preliminary results, as well as a side project we're doing with some population genetics. So what exactly is a flora? So a flora just simply refers to the plants of a given region, as well as the publication of the plants of that region. And generally floras include the scientific and common names of these plants, as well as habitat descriptions and geological distributions and flowering times and illustrations. These plants are also, in a flora, are put in a classification system known through their phylogenetic relationships, which just means which ones are more closely related and share a common ancestor. And just a little fun fact about floras, so botanists have been producing these floras since the early 1600s, and physicians use these floras in the early times for medicinal information, and horticulturalists use them to identify plants that may be brought into cultivation in a given area. So Alabama, we are the 5th highest ranking state in terms of biodiversity in the United States. We have approximately 4,500 different animal and plant species. I know we're number 1 in freshwater mussels and freshwater snails, and we're also number 1 in carnivorous plant species. So we are a hotspot for carnivorous plant species. And that's due to our rich evolutionary history, as well as our warm and moist climate and various geological regions. But unfortunately, we also are second in the United States in terms of at-risk or recently extinct species. Today, scientists recognize 90 extinct species in Alabama. And a lot of this is just due to the fact that current species distributions, as well as their various life history aspects and their overall biology, are just poorly understood. And also at the bottom, just kind of give you a little bit more biodiversity. We have the twin sisters here on the left and the greater tick seed on the right. And going back to this problem with our at-risk species, so this is why it's increasingly vital for us to advance our knowledge of our biodiversity for the goal of responsible stewardship, as well as important for researchers to focus on the advancement of Alabama's ecological knowledge. So the purpose of this vascular flora, we just want to improve floristic knowledge of northeastern Alabama by cataloging the vascular plants of our outcrop, and we just want to produce a vascular flora of the Hinds outcrop, including a taxonomic list and plant community summaries. And our objectives, of course, first of all, we just want to advance the botanical knowledge of the Alabama Valley and Ridge physiographic region, and determine all the vascular plants growing in the Hinds outcrop through field work. And we want to document these plants with representative voucher specimens we'll place in the herbarium and share duplicates with sister herbarium, and analyze plant community data to assist with future management decisions. So now we're going to jump into our research area. So the outcrop, which you can see is number 15 on this map in Etowah County, it's a Forever Wild Land Trust property located between the city of Gadsden and a small community of Reese City. And if any of you know where Nakalua State Park is, it's literally about 2 miles northwest of there. The land trust purchased the property on July 15, 2016, and it's the most recent addition in northern Alabama for the land trust. And the Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources are whom they manage it for habitat conservation and for wildlife management and outdoor recreation as well. So here's the 5 different physiographic regions of Alabama, and as you can see, our outcrop is here, just a little bit south of I-59 in the Alabama Valley and Ridge physiographic region. And using Google Maps, I can show you where Hinds Road itself is, and unfortunately it didn't label the cities, but down here at the bottom where you see Highway 431 is Gadsden, Alabama. And just a little bit north of Hinds Road is Reese City, and you can also see Nakalua Falls Park and campgrounds there. So the property itself is 80 acres of mixed hardwood and pine forest and large expanses of treeless sandstone outcrops. And that's not just the main gist of it. It's really 4 different ecosystems in this small 80-acre area. We have, on the south end of the property is mostly rock outcrop. On the west side we have a nice depression with a creek bed and overhanging cliff for the plants that prefer moist environments. And here on the north, we start to see a rise in elevation, and we find mostly it's oak and hickory, tulip poplar forests. And then over here on the east side of the property, we see mostly loblolly pine thickets. So really great diversity as far as finding the different number of plant species. And this is just a photo from the Land Trust website that they marked off, just showing you the property in its entirety. So the outcrop, being that it has thin soils, it's really home to these uncommon habitat specialist species. So for example, we have the Boynton's oak, which is a really cool Alabama endemic. And really another star of the show for the outcrop is the L-Forpine, really small herbaceous plant, along with several others such as the parasitic Harper's Daughter and Texas Sunnybells, part of the Agaveaceae family. And here are just some really beautiful photos of the outcrop. So that's just the expanse, and here's one of me pressing plants in the outcrop. I believe that was from the first day we went out. So a little bit about our methods. So we began making trips up there in April 2018, and we hope to conclude sometime this year with a production of a vascular flora of the outcrop, which will be submitted for publication, I believe, to Castania. And sampling trip will continue to do these throughout this year as well, just to extensively sample the plants across the entire site. And our goal is 400 to 500 voucher specimens plus duplicates, as I said, for partner herbaria. So here's a photo of me just kind of pondering where to go next. So in the field, when we collect these specimens, I'll immediately put them in the plant press on site, and then once we get back to Jackson, we will prepare them to be dried, and then we'll identify them after they've properly dried, and we'll prepare them to be mounted once we've identified them. And then for these rare specimens that we know that haven't been found up there before, we will document these with a digital photograph, and these specimen images that once we finish with these voucher specimens and field photographs will be available on the Alabama Plant Atlas's website. So in here, on the left is just a photo of me emerging from that kind of that creek bed area, which is the bounty of plants in the press, and also that's on the west side of the property, kind of where this overhanging cliff overshadows the creek bed. So in the herbarium, we use these field guides and floras from the southeast region for plant identification. And then once we have properly identified the plant, we will then proceed into making something similar to this. Well, this is exactly what it'll look like actually, with a label and a nice little barcode that will be scanned in for the Alabama Plant Atlas website. And then our duplicates, of course, will be distributed to other areas such as Auburn University, and then we'll give some to the Hanston Museum of Natural History as well. And then we have 3 aspects of the flora we're going to analyze, so threatened and endangered species, state listed species and sensitive species, as well as native versus non-native, and of course the plant community summaries I discussed earlier. And then all the data will be, in the end, will be compiled and published as the Vascular Flora of the Hinds Road Outcrop in Etowah County, Alabama. And then, as I said, the data will be provided to directors to assist with conservation efforts. So here's some preliminary results. Our first trip out was April 20th, and December 11th was our last. We've made a total of 15 collection trips. We've overall got a really steady number. We kind of see diminishing returns in the summer months, especially in June. I think particularly June 15th. I think we got stormed out that day. I mean, we heard lightning in the distance, so we kind of ran for cover. And in December, kind of what we expected. We don't really expect to see any plants really thriving in this harsh winter environment, but we did get one really cool aquatic plant in. And we've collected a total of 334. Only, I think, 200 of these have been properly ID'd, so the rest, there are some duplicates. We'll collect some, like, for example, beautyberry, Calicarpa americana. We'll collect it for its vegetative morphology and for its flowers and fruits, so there very well may be duplicates in that. So maybe about 300 is what we expect to see from that. Here's some beautiful photos of some of the plants. So we have the eastern prickly pear, part of the Cactaceae family. And here's the Texas Sunnybells, part of the Agaveaceae family. And as I said, kind of the star of the outcrop, the L14, and the parasitic Harper's Daughter, which is this orange plant wrapped around this grass there. And kind of our side project we're doing alongside this flora, we're doing DNA extractions on Quercus quantonii, which is our endemic species I mentioned earlier. And we're just using a D&EZ kit from Qiagen, and we're just going to test for population genetic variability. And we sampled a total of 40 trees. We would probably get about 3 leaves per tree for material. And I think we would have about 30 from Quercus quantonii and about 10 from like some outgroups such as Quercus nigra, which is water oak, and Quercus phalos being willow oak. And we recently just started that project, so we don't really have any data from that yet, but here is just the leaf and the reproductive features of the Quercus quantonii on the left. And me, of course, just gathering some sample material, and a nice photo from Dr. TJ of me when we started this a couple weeks ago using liquid nitrogen to prepare to grind up the material. So I just want to thank Dr. Truppett, of course, for just being an amazing mentor and helping me learn all this material. He's just been amazing. And I want to thank Dr. TJ and Dr. Burns for being on my committee and just their amazing input and advice. And Dr. Wayne Barger and the Alabama Forever Wild Tract for giving me the opportunity to do this research, as well as the JSU Herbarium and School of Science and Department of Biology for providing me with all the resources I could possibly imagine to help me see this project through, and as well as my mother and father, Eddie and Sharona Peacock, just for having my back through all this and my entire life, really. So are there any questions?